Yoga teachers, do you want to learn how to teach your class without using your notes? In this video, I'll be sharing with you my favorite tips for how to memorize your yoga class. If you haven't already, hit that subscription button and the bell button to be notified every single time I post a new video giving yoga teaching tips. Tip number one, use the same sequencing template for every single style of yoga that you teach. So what I mean by that is for every style of yoga you teach, it could be beginner yoga, all levels, or slow flow yoga, vinyasa flow, or intermediate yoga, power yoga, or gentle yoga, whatever style you're teaching, use the same structure so that you'll know in your mind that structure. You'll have that memorized. If you aren't sure what I'm talking about or need yoga class templates, I invite you to download my free Yoga Sequencing Made Easy ebook. And in there, I have yoga sequencing templates that you can use. My second tip is to then memorize your sequences in chunks. So under each section within your class structure, it'll be way easier to memorize your sequence when you break it down into little chunks. And then because you'll have the same structure, you'll always know what section of class that you're in. Tip number 3 is to practice your sequence. Now you're probably wondering, Juliana, how many times do I have to practice it? Well, in the beginning, I had to practice my sequence like 100 times in order to memorize it. The more experience I got, the less I had to practice it. And now sometimes I can run through my sequence just in my head when I'm driving to teach my yoga class. So it will depend on your experience level with teaching yoga, but definitely practice your sequence and practice it until you feel comfortable with it. And then tip number 4, this is like the most important one I personally think, is know that it's okay to bring your notes. That using your notes is a sign of a well-prepared yoga teacher. There's this stigma out there in the yoga world that using your notes means that you're a less than yoga teacher. And this just isn't true. What I don't think you should be doing is holding your notes like this and reading your cues off a script. I don't think that that's appropriate to be doing in a yoga class. But if you bring your sequence with you and you glance down at it once because you have a brain fart while you're teaching, maybe when your students are in downward facing dog or child's pose, that is totally okay. It's okay to take the pressure off of yourself of needing to memorize your class and bring your notes, especially if it will give you that mental security that you know you're not just going to blank out while you're teaching. So I invite you to reframe what it means to use your notes. I like to think of me teaching 10 years. I still bring my notes with me. I even have them in this YouTube video. That it means that I am well prepared. It means I thought about my class, I thought about my students, and I am well prepared. So let that be your new affirmation. Using my notes is a sign of a well-prepared yoga teacher. So let me know if this was helpful and let me know which tip you're gonna use.